Laura, you're used to organising events with a capital E. How did you first get into the sector?
Well, Joanna, it really was a journey of mine that started. I was 19, actually, the youngest female presidential appointee during the Clinton administration. But before I actually came on staff at 20 years old, I started answering the phones. And that is a great place to start for any industry. Now, I didn't know at the time where it would leave me, but it certainly was a great start to find out what people are doing in the office, what kind of activities were going on. It was the White House press office. Now, from there, I started asking the staff secretaries and the press secretaries if maybe they needed a little extra help done around the office. And that led me to witnessing events and being in the press area, just in the back. But I got to see how events unfolded, and it really perked my interest. I could see how an event could tell a story, both visually and verbally. And soon after, I was answering phones for a while and working with those press secretaries. I was asked to take on the role as the White House press secretary for the Midwestern United States. And that's where I verbally really started translating the message of the president proactively and reactively with different news outlets. Then a few years later, I became the White House director of television. So there I was visually creating that message, whether the president was doing an interview in the United States of America or abroad, or the first lady, the vice president. And I always wanted to make sure that someone watching a television interview with the president, even if they weren't listening to it and the sound was down, they could maybe understand what he was talking about, what that message might be in relation to how it was set up. So when I moved from the West Wing to the East Wing to become the White House Director of Events, it was that journey. It was answering the phones in the press office. It was looking at a message verbally as the Midwest Press Secretary and visually as the Director of Television that really brought everything together, because an event, I believe, is the most effective way to communicate a message. It's a powerful event. And for that, you can have 2 people, you can have 8,000, 10,000, but it's how you communicate that message and relate to that audience in the room, as well as those watching on television, maybe listening on radio, or just reading a transcript. And so it always fascinated me, and it was my journey that brought me to become the White House Director of Events, and I'm convinced I never could have done the next job without having done the prior job.
What would you say are the key aspects to organising a successful event?
I think it's having a strong message and knowing what that message is before you even begin. A great foundation to any event is realizing not just what you're saying. We all can say something, but why are you saying it? Because once we identify why we're saying what we're saying, we now know how to communicate that. Some demographics and geographics around the country will listen to a message differently because it's an event that's live streamed online. Other events in person will communicate more effectively with that audience. So I believe if we know why we're saying what we're saying, we can more effectively build that event so that it's heard by the right people and understood, and creates a charge of what that group can do next.
How has the mice sector evolved since you first joined it?
I think the mice industry around the world is constantly evolving. I think it's evolving to the global interdependence that we experience now as a world community. And for myself, as the White House Director of Events, I really wanted to look as to how we could project the presidency on the world stage. Because every day you do an event with the president, everybody's watching. Well, guess what? Now, because of great technology, every event is on the world stage. And that means we have to be careful to dot our I's and cross our T's. Really methodically look at the structure of our event. Include more than just 1 or 2 people. Bring on great volunteers and those in universities as interns to really get a hands-on approach and create this industry for more than it was 10 years ago. I've seen it improving every year. It's more inclusive. It's grabbing technology, and yet I think what's wonderful about the MICE industry, and as a professional speaker now, I experience it with every event I MC professionally or keynote professionally, is that face-to-face events are only gaining in value. Technology can absolutely supplement an event, just like social media can supplement conversations, but they can't take the place of face-to-face conversations. Online events and webinars can certainly supplement gatherings between conferences or congresses every year, but it's that face-to-face value of the MICE industry that I believe is stronger than ever, and we must remain vigilant to adhere to. It's when we're face-to-face that we truly turn relationships into partnerships and ideas into reality.
What part do you see an umbrella organisation like UNCI playing in the MICE sector?
Well, they have a much larger role because they represent an entire industry. And what I've loved being here at UNICEO is I've met people from many different event corners, corporate professionals that have one track of events for every event. I've met others who are in corporations that have 5 or 6 different sectors just within them alone. And it's really when an organization like UNICEO brings together fierce competitors and colleagues and peers that they truly find that collaboration. And I believe that in every industry in America, and I speak to industries across all spectrums, whether it's technology or finance or events and marketing, we are much stronger together. And that's how I believe UNICEO is keeping the footprint of corporate event professionals, officers, really at the forefront and relevant to those corporations and the private industries that they serve. It's the power of organization and association that UNICEO gives that truly is why we're here in Budapest.
That was really interesting insight. Thank you very much, Laura.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Joanna.